what is it? What's your specialty? What kind of insurance do you actually take
Well,
care for people?
I deal with insurance on the other side of the fence. In other words, I fight insurance companies. I represent the individual, the consumer, as you might call them, when they have an insurance claim and they have to deal with the insurance company. That's how I become familiar with insurance companies. I'm not an agent. I don't represent insurance companies. I've learned the hard way about the details of insurance companies by being their adversarial.
Amazing. I'm like, 'cause we always need that. When it comes to insurance, how do I know if I have enough coverage when I get on that road?
Yeah, great question. And in today's society, there are a couple issues. One, TV feeds you a lot of information about how you can save money on insurance. Well, really, the only way you're going to save money is if you have less insurance or not the right type of coverage. So there's that. And then there's the issue of the number of motorists on today's roadways that simply don't have insurance or are underinsured. The reality is, it became a requirement in the state of California to carry insurance back in the 70s. And they set the minimum amount required. Well, it's been 50 years, let's say. That minimum amount has never increased. We know that other things have increased. The cost of an ambulance ride, the emergency room, everything has increased except for this minimum. So if you're hit by somebody carrying the minimum, you might have some problems.
I didn't know any of that. That's kind of astonishing.
It's the reality.
So you're saying I absolutely need the insurance. Like, why do I need to be covered in California?
I think the best answer, and really the only answer, is to protect yourself. Because when you're in an incident, you're in an accident on the freeway, a lot of bad things can happen. You lose your car, you can't get to work. You can't get to work, you lose your job. You lose your job, you can't pay your rent. You can't pay your rent, you don't have a house. This domino effect I've seen many times. So the best way to prevent this domino effect from happening is if you have the right type of coverage. Again, I'm not an insurance salesman. I'm not advocating, hey, go spend a lot of money with the insurance company. I'm more interested in the individual having the right type of coverage to protect himself.
How do I know if I actually have enough insurance coverage? Like, I know that, the insurance agents aren't necessarily able to give advice on what you need. So what is it that I should be looking for?
Well, if you are dealing with an insurance agent, I would definitely recommend get a hold of your agent, ask your agent, hey, am I fully covered? The amount of your coverage should actually reflect the amount of your assets. I mean, if you have a vacation home and a boat and a helicopter and a place in Italy, you want to have a lot of insurance to protect all that. Your agent should have the information, is trained and qualified to cover you properly. In today's society, we've got this thing called the internet. So people jump on the internet and you can fill out online. And really what a lot of people do is, how do I get the cheapest coverage? And they're not really piecing it together. Wait a minute, this doesn't serve me well and this doesn't serve me well. Again, if we're circling back around to what types of coverage should you have, there's a type of coverage that's essential, and it's called uninsured motorists. I don't know what the percentage of the population driving on today's roads that's uninsured, but it's pretty high. And if you're hit by an uninsured motorist, you better have uninsured motorist coverage. Otherwise, you will have no recovery no matter what your damages are.
At all?
At all. You will not have a fund, a pot from which to draw to cover your damages. An ambulance ride today is $3,000. Yeah, if you have health insurance, terrific. They will pay the ambulance a little bit. The ambulance company will come after you for that difference. Maybe that difference is $1,500. Well, $1,500 is a lot of money to a lot of people. Right. So you want to have that type of coverage, that uninsured motorist, to protect you from these scenarios.
Talking about the uninsured motorist, is that part of a bundle that I should be looking for? Is that a standard question?
Well, again, so I'm not an agent. I'm not really sure what the specific definition of bundling is. My point is your types of coverage. There are two issues you should be looking at. What types of coverage do I have, and what are the limits on that coverage?
Okay.
So if I have liability coverage, I'm liable to someone else. Again, the state minimum here is $15,000 per person. That can go up from there. You could have 50,000, 100,000, a million. If
And
you
that's
need it.
depending on your assets that you might have, like you were mentioning the house and the everything else.
That is correct.
Okay.
And the more that you have, the more coverage you have, the higher your premiums will be. But they actually won't be as high as you might think they would be.
Doesn't my insurance cover me for any damages, or is that just like a lofty thought to think that I'm totally covered?
There's an old saying, fairy tales are kept in the fiction section for a reason. And those TV commercials are great, but it's a contract. When you sign up for insurance, they will pay only whatever they're contractually obligated to pay and not even a fraction of a penny more. You need to become contractually entitled to those benefits at the time you take out your policy. Which is why, again, we're talking about limits, the amount of coverage. We're also talking about the types of coverage: uninsured motorist, bodily injury, uninsured motorist, property damage, comp, collision, these types of things. It really benefits the individual to have as much coverage as possible.